Does anyone have any questions with audio or the chat function? Okay, great. All right, well, I'm going to start today. It's 1 p.m. and I just want to say welcome to our WCWI March Member Resource Group. For today, we have a couple main focuses, and our member resource group today is going to really focus on how Wisconsin employers are responding to COVID-19 and this ever-evolving environment that we have in the state of Wisconsin. That includes survey results, but then also significant discussion considering the fact that it's changed, right? Our environment has changed, and Governor Evers has issued safer at home. So we're going to walk through that today, share some resources, and additionally highlight a few of our WCWI members who have really implemented some significant strategies and quick response. And then additionally from there, carry on some discussion regarding mental health, connectedness, and then compassion leadership. We have a couple announcements at the end, but traditionally during webinars, right, we have housekeeping, right? Here's the chat function, mute your phone. Well, our member resource group is going to be probably a little bit different because if you're like me, you may be joined by a couple family members who don't have nap times at this moment. So we are welcoming of interruptions. We are welcoming of questions through chat. And if you see me disappear, don't worry. We have Marissa Kulkman here with WCWI who will be helping me with this member resource group. And then we also have our additional staff, Erin and Katie, on the call as well. Our member resource groups are something that I'm really excited about. Today's a little bit different, but they're really very discussion focused. And it's something that we really want to focus on creating this statewide conversation and discussion. So to open up our minds, our hearts, and then have us start conversing and connecting, we're gonna have a little bit of an icebreaker here. So first, I hope you guys enjoy my sense of humor with a few funny memes here. But then additionally, I included a couple questions that I thought were very resonating with where we are at today, and questions that we can ask in the professional world, considering personal and professional are very seamless at this point and intertwined. So for our icebreaker, we're going to use our chat function. We have about 42 participants, so please participate in this two-part icebreaker. Using the chat function, if you could, one, tell us the energy that you are bringing to our member resource group today, that would be greatly appreciated. But then also two, I want to kind of create a call to action around connectedness. So name someone that you are going to check in with today that maybe you haven't checked in with so far this week. You don't have to give first and last name, but maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's a friend, but write this down. Make sure you check in with them, text, email, phone call, and maybe not have a specific reason or goal around this connection. But I want everyone to make mental note of how we can connect and who we can connect with today. So if you have questions on the chat and where to find it, please let me know. So my energy that I'm bringing is adaptive and informative. All right, bringing curiosity, checking in with our family, positivity. Ooh, checking with neighbors. Yes, that's great. Compassion. I love this. Team members, optimism, positive energy. Guys, this is great. I'm loving this. Flexibility. Yes, that is a word that we were seeing a lot in our survey results. I love this. I love this. Keep them coming in. Coworkers, your whole HR team. Yes, some who are coming back from maternity leave. It's like, welcome. Great, great. All right. Positivity, collaboration. Yes, grandmas, grandparents. We are sending lots of videos these days. I love this. I love this. Great. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Keep sharing. We're going to be best friends with our chat function today, and then we'll be opening up the microphones too later on throughout our member resource group. So that being said, I keep mentioning member resource group, and I want to shed a little bit light as to what this new member benefit is. And in this year, we are really excited to really showcase a lot of new member benefits that we're bringing to you as WCWI member employers and member delegates. And they're highlighted in green. One of those happens to be these member resource groups. And what they are a result of the 2019 discovery, where everyone here participated in our wonderful in-depth survey and our regional focus groups, really voicing loudly that you want more networking opportunities and more networking opportunities that are included in the membership at no additional cost. And then also too, networking opportunities that really can start the conversation and then provide relatedness and then follow up to, you know, what is that call to action to using the resources that are at our fingertips. So here we have our first one. Welcome. Thank you for attending today. Our two formats that you'll see throughout the year are either a 60-second roundup or a member resource focused group. And the reason we created those is that the 60-second roundup will feature idea sharers that have 60 seconds to share a question, share an idea, a motivating thought, maybe something they're really excited about, a new initiative that they're launching. And the reason that we kept it this 60-second roundup, similar to a TED Talk, similar to a lot of other formats that you see out there, but what we love about this is a great way to start the conversations, as I mentioned, but have it almost a low liability of we want to keep it conversational. There's not a PowerPoint that's required. You don't have to bring solutions to the table unless you want to. But let's connect as a community who's really dedicated to changing the narrative of the health and well-being throughout the state. Now, the other one is focused on the resources that we have at our fingertips. Where are they? How do we use that? Let's create a call to action. And you may have seen that on our webpage with one of our wellness challenges called the Net Effect, where we're going to bring a group of anyone who wants to participate throughout the state of Wisconsin to bring the Net Effect challenge to their employee base and talk about how's it going? What's working for you? What's not? What are some deadlines we can collectively create as wellness practitioners that are members of WCWI. And that being said, what I love to then further announce is that we've completely changed the format for today's call in response to supporting you as members with the environment that we have with COVID-19. We saw a significant need to ask everyone questions of how you are doing with this quick change, with some employees working from home. How are we going to respond to creating a safe and positive environment? How are we going to respond to supporting our employees mentally and holistically? So what we did last week is we launched a survey. And we had an 18% participation rate, which we're really excited about. And then today what we're going to do is we're going to share the results of that survey, but then further that conversation because the environment's changed just a little bit with that safer at home. And in a week's time, a lot can happen. So we hope we can provide some resources that will support you and your team and your executive leadership. We hope that we can provide you solutions with idea sharing from other members, and we're going to take the time to do that today. All right, so that being said, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually stop my video so then I can share the results of our survey. So hold on one moment. Can everyone see the PDF?
I'm seeing it here.
Great, thank you. Thank you. All right, so I'm gonna scroll up and we're gonna spend about 15 minutes highlighting this. And what's gonna happen is Marissa and I are gonna walk through and giving a high level results of who participated, where are Wisconsin employers at in supporting their employees through this, and then sharing some few very relevant resources. After this, what we're going to do is we're going to feature a couple WCWI members, and then from there open it up to group discussion. So let me see here. All right, so that being said, who participated? We had 18% of WCWI members participate throughout the state. And considering the environment that we were in literally last week, everyone quickly adapting, quickly adjusting, that is a fantastic participation rate. Usually with surveys, you want about 20% or 20 to 25%, but I'm really proud of everyone and very grateful and thankful that you took the time to participate in order to support all of our other WCWI members in idea sharing. So the majority of our participants were either manufacturers, education systems, or within the finance and insurance industry. The other top industries represented were business associations or nonprofits, public sector, and healthcare. And this, as the Assistant Director of Marketing Membership, this is very representative of our membership base overall. So I was not surprised there, but I think what's going to be really valuable is sharing that many of these participants have unique environments. So to hear from them is going to be a really positive force for today. Most of the participants have employees of 100 to 500 employees, and then also 1,000 to 9,000. So of course, with those ranges we want to quickly provide, that is also very coinciding with our entire membership base. I did find the next one somewhat interesting in the fact that nearly half are Wisconsin, or a little over half have employees in Wisconsin only, and then the remaining participants in multiple states or internationally. Now, our first question really focused on, was policy driven, specific to sick leave and paid time off. And we asked the question, has your organization changed or added policies regarding sick leave and or paid time off? 57% said yes. Now, thinking back, right, we have manufacturers, education systems, finance and insurance. I think a lot we're really looking at, how do we support our hourly versus our salary? And we saw that come through in 3 different themes. And those themes were either providing flexibility, providing more paid leave, and then some changes to point systems overall. So if there was a few I was going to point out some responses, one would be the response of, we are excusing all absences related to COVID-19, including illness and lack of childcare. And what we were seeing as participants were completing the survey later in the week, more were recognizing lack of childcare as part of the COVID-19 environment and support. And what I mean by that is a lot in the beginning of the week where, well, if you get sick, we'll provide paid leave. But then in relation to the schools closing, we started seeing quickly the adaptation of adding childcare within these policies. The next 2 bullet points I would like to point out are right under paid leave, the first 2. The first one is a policy and sick time was added, public health leave. So this public health leave policy was created by a public and government identity. And what they did is they provided 15 hours or 3 weeks that would be given to someone if they do come down with the COVID-19 virus. The second policy, or the second bullet point, was provided by a bank, and what they did is they created pandemic pay. And I want to let everyone on the call know is that we did reach out to this member to see if they would share this policy, so we could share it with everyone on the call. But their pandemic pay includes that associates that are asked not to come into their buildings and are unable to work from home will continue to be paid. In addition, associates that the bank asked to be quarantined will also be paid as well. I'm going to just quickly check our chat function here. Yes, okay, thank you guys for verifying that you are hearing me. I love that. Thank you. Under the additional responses, the one I would like to point out would be the first one, which is provided by a manufacturer, where they temporarily taken away their point system for attendance and switched their policy from 3 to 2 days out that would require a doctor's note. And they included in other responses that they did this to not to help not overwhelm the healthcare system, but additionally from there, just in support of how COVID-19 affects us from our human side of life. Additionally, they said that they normally require that for when they are out for 3 days, but have switched it right now is the 2 days, and we are following up to see if that is changing at all as well. Included in the additional responses is also that the employers are supporting hourly employees by still providing base pay and trying to do whatever they can in support of these hourly employees. Now, specific to, sick time and paid time off policies, we do have a couple resources provided for you, and I want to offer Marissa the chance to highlight one that she would like to share. Marissa?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and just a note on that, when this resource makes it to you for you to be able to use and learn more from and really dig into, the resources will all be, of course, embedded within this document so that you're able to dive in and see what's meaningful to you and what might be really appropriate for potentially for you to use. So I just wanted to mention that. I'm just going to highlight a couple of them and then know that, of course, there'll be a significant amount for you to dive into once you get the resource. So I'll just also say that across the entire survey, we really kind of pulled out some key themes and tried to pair some resources according to those themes that we saw in the responses. So specifically to policy, I think we saw a lot of responses that aligned with the theme of supportive accommodations, flexibility, and then the swift and kind of ever-changing opportunity to update policies and maybe the need to continuously update policies as this progresses. So one of the resources that I have linked is from MRA, the Management Association, and they are doing a fantastic job compiling really timely resources and staying very in touch with all the things that are constantly evolving. So for example, they have a very recent update on the Families First Coronavirus Act. They have a wide number of different sample policies as well as sample communications, and all of these things are accessible to the public, so they're really supporting employers in this way. So wanted to highlight that, and so you'll be able to kind of dig in and if needed, see some other information or useful resource from them. So that'll be linked in this document. Go ahead, Lisa.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Marissa. So the next topic, right, this leads right into caregiving. Many of this is intertwined. We're all in this boat together, as you can see visually with my attendance of my daughter here. But when it comes to caregiving, let's see, 34% of our participants have added policies specific to caregiving. And I think this is really in relation to that the school closures took place at the end of the week, and then additionally too, just employers having to adapt as to what does this environment look like. So we're going to continue to monitor the response of our Wisconsin employers, but when the survey was completed, 34% said yes, 55% stated no, and 11% were unsure, which is completely understandable considering how fast these changes in our environment and government policies are taking place. Now, the response to these caregiving policies and overall employee support, we found were either just overall supportive accommodations, including it in standard policy, and then additionally, just open communication and perhaps providing it in emergency leave. Now, a resounding amount of our participants stated that those that can work from home have flexibility and when they can work throughout the day. And that is a very common thread we saw for any employees that could work from home. Just that the fact that their employees had to be available during core hours, but that when it comes to caregiving, work when you can. We're going to have open communication and we're here to support you. And we're really proud of our employer members for taking those supportive or making those supportive accommodations. Specific to one of our government and public sector identities that we had participate, they address caregiving a part of their public health leave and sick time, making that a formal addressment within their policy and having time off for that. Additional responses, there's just two that I want to pull out. One would be, excuse me, I'm going to scroll up here, my apologies. One would be communicating that caregiving is as important of being the one with the illness, and just having that verbally shown and written in through communication. We're happy to see that employers are responding in that way, and then additionally being paid through emergency leave as well. And one of those happened to be a wholesale distributor who stated that communicating that caregiving is as important, and then also too, we had a technical college stating that they can be paid through emergency leave as well. So any of these formal policies that member employers are creating, once again, I want to note that we have reached out to see if they're willing to share these policies so we can share them with all of you and all of our members on this call as well. As we mentioned, right, this environment is very intertwined. So of course, this leads next to work from home, specific to policies. Are you letting employees working from home? Is this something that you quickly created in response, or has this been in place for a while? A resounding 81% stated yes, but the exception is, right, if we have those wholesale distributors, the construction, the manufacturing, those individuals who are essential or cannot work from home, it's a split environment, right? Considering that you have some of those administrative duties or in-office duties that can work from home. But I was so happy to see that many of our employers are trying to make those accommodations as necessary. And we'll discuss those in a little bit here. Creating specific guidelines around working from home, 54% of our members stated yes, they have specific guidelines, they created policies. I can't tell you how many responses we received that stated their IT department is wonderful and we're working tirelessly to ensure that they can get the VPN networks up, the customer care networks up, so everyone can work from home as fast as possible. So if we could say that Wisconsin was adaptive, I would say that yes, we are, and great job, everyone. So looking at pulling out a couple of our qualitative responses that we received regarding work from home policies and the adjustments that employers are making. Once again, right, one of the common themes is supportive, and then also two, the flexibility. that our employers is how we're adapting, and that is just great nature for leadership, and that's providing wonderful employee support. And that they're openly communicating that they are trying to have everyone work remotely if possible, but also communicating take time to take care for yourself and your family. So highlighting that first bullet point without having to use sick or vacation time. And I think when we launched this survey, you could tell the shift in conversational responses as employers were recognizing that this isn't going to be 1 week or 2 weeks, that we're probably looking at longer than that, more like a month or more. So how do we adapt to this and create an adaptive response that can last a lot longer than a couple weeks? Additionally, we saw a lot of focus on using our middle level managers. So looking at this last bullet point here, we sent out tips for managers with employees working from home and how to communicate with employees. Managers also had meetings with employees to develop daily communication plans. So this thought and novel, or this idea and this strategy of communication between managers, this is nothing new. But it's new in the sense of how do we communicate? How do we train the trainer in the sense of working with all levels of leadership, and how to manage and lead their employees when working remotely. And I think that's a little bit of a learning curve that we're all trying to figure out, especially with all of our employees maybe having different environments. And a lot of our participants mentioned communication and in support of communicating to managers on how to lead their teams. So that was a really positive and hopeful theme that we saw throughout. Now, some of our member employers looked a little bit more at adjusted policies or created policies regarding that working from home is new to them. And, you know, the common theme that we saw from there was making sure that everyone had equipment to do that, or perhaps they're putting expectations to working from home, and that's all clear communication as well, and working with IT departments and something that needs to happen in response to these changing environments. The two things I would point out in the additional responses is, and one I alluded to earlier, was the making sure that employees are available during core hours, perhaps 8 a.m. through 4:30, something of that time frame or similar time frame. But then from there, maybe the working hours, the head down working hours, may be happening outside of core hours in support of caregiving. And then the other item of encouraging staff that maybe this is the time for professional development, maybe setting the expectation that we are all adapting, and that professional development is the time to put this on the forefront, and we're going to change how we work and step back and really think strategically of how we're going to support our clients, how we're going to support our customers. But in the meantime, let's support you as an employee so we're ready to bounce back once we all turn back to more of a normal environment that we're used to. All right, so Marissa did her due diligence in providing an amazing amount of resources for you for working from home that you can share and use with your employees and your team. Marissa, which ones are you going to highlight today?
Sure. So I think one of the key themes, again, that we saw through the responses and also through what people were asking us that they need more support in is sort of the how in this, right? So, so there's a couple of resources that will be linked here. One is from the American Psychological Association that has a wide-ranging kind of list of various resources for employers to use during a pandemic. So there's resource that you can find there that's specific to newly remote workers. There is an interesting resource that's focused in leadership and communication through crisis, which I think, again, could be really beneficial for learning and spreading through your organization to help people maybe gather some additional skills for their own communication practices. And then we're also linking a variety of parent support and resources during this time. So of course, with schools and childcare being closed, is where we want to be able to share some resources that you all can use in that vein as well. And then I think, one other thing that I'll probably get to in a little bit more depth in our mental health and our social connectedness resource share. But I want to mention it now as well, because I think it very much relates to the concept of how to support and communicate your people in this really drastically different environment. And that is a resource that comes out of Wisconsin, out of Rogers In Health and WISE, the Wisconsin Initiative for Stigma Elimination. And they have two fantastic free resources that are essentially their toolkits in compassion resilience. And technically the toolkits are focused on healthcare and human services workers, and then educators and employees that work in schools. However, I think compassion resilience now more than ever is going to be something that could be very, very applicable to any and all workers. So we'll link those resources as well for you to dig into. And then one more thing I'll note, of course, you'll see all of these lists of resources. And then I want to make sure that you all know that WCWI, the staff at WCWI is available to connect with you one-on-one should you want to dive into a resource in deeper and kind of strategize for your own organization, or if you just want to bounce out additional ideas, we do have our one-on-one consultation. So please know that that's something that we're here to support you on too. Just not trying to just push resource. We also want to, of course, be here to be on your team. So.
Great, thank you. All right, everyone, I want to note that it may seem like we're trying to move quickly through this document, and that is 100% accurate, because we really want to make sure we leave ample time for discussion today. So I'm going to go high level over this next question regarding school and childcare closing, because you can see the common thread here as we've discussed working from home, as we've discussed sick and paid time off. The common thread of how employers are supporting the fact that our school and childcare is not accessible is through flexibility, care, compassion, and connection. And whether it's a manufacturing organization who stated that they're allowing alternate shift options, and they also mentioned that they're offering overtime to help support the employees financially as well, in preparation that they may have to close in the future, or it's looking at what are the needs for the duties and crew members that you have on staff. So for example, running skeleton crews as well. Under the theme of care, compassion, and connection, right? It's just, we're here for you, we're supporting you, do the best that you can, and we're all in this together. And that's a wonderful theme to see. All right, now we did address that, what are other policies that you may be adding, or how are you changing your environment in light of COVID-19? And the themes that we saw here were either limiting the visitors, or perhaps a construction company is looking at, the health checks that they're providing on site, the skeleton crews that I mentioned, how many people do we truly need there? How can we split our shift workers up to protect their health as well if they have to come to work? And then providing work from home as well. For one organization who is really in transportation, is how do we support our drivers on the road and being flexible with fuel stops, rest stops, personal convenience, and among other things. So I wanted to pull those out because they have a little bit more of those unique environments compared to if you can work from home. All right, so today, right, we really want to focus on mental health, connectedness, and leading with compassion as well. I'm so happy to see that 73% of our participants stated that they are providing specific support and guidance for employees on mental health. And I can safely tell you that many of your answers, or many of the answers from the participants, all reference their EAP. And I'm really happy to see that you are using the resources at your fingertips. Other resources here, the Corporate Chaplains of America, Behavioral Health Services, and then from there, genuine human compassion. And I want to note that one response was including that their wellness committee established a Microsoft Teams where wellness staff, or excuse me, where staff can discuss and share wellness resources regarding mental health, exercise, diet, socialization. So where is this place? Where is this standing place that's going to support our employees for a couple months here? Regarding the environments that we're living in and we're having to adapt to. Additionally, we noticed this answer here regarding behavioral health team is offering weekly mindfulness session for staff. So perhaps your connection isn't always business. Perhaps your connection is specific to mental health, taking a step back, feeling your feet on the ground, helping your employees just relieve some stress that happened to be clouding their brain as well. We are going to continue conversation regarding mental health. I do want to allow Marissa to share a resource that she thinks is prudent for you guys to look at once you have this document. Marissa?
Yeah, sure. So I think
Great.
the two I'll highlight, there are two toolkits that we'll be linking through. One is a coronavirus anxiety toolkit developed truly in this last few weeks here. It's co-created by an organization called Shine, and then also Mental Health America. So we know through that collaboration that it's going to be a really valid, really credible resource. And again, it's aligned very much to what's currently happening right now. And the other toolkit is the Mental Health Tool to Thrive toolkit, and that's also from Mental Health America. It's actually their 2020 toolkit that's being rolled out for Mental Health Month. That's coming up here in May. So it was already a great resource just launched, and I think even more timely, considering again the state of our state and the state of our workplaces right now. And so definitely wanted to highlight those two as opportunities to pull information to strategize for yourself and or to truly just share on to your employees as well.
Great. Thank you, Marissa. And I apologize, everyone, if you are hearing baby noises in the background. But we are all having fun today in discussing this. All right, so the topic of social connectedness. 46% of our participants stated that they're creating specific initiatives to foster social connectedness. And when I was really looking through this data, I really got the innate feeling and sense through all the qualitative answers that if the participants stated no or unsure, it's because they were working on getting all their employees to work from home and or adopting and creating policies, and this was next to come. And so just a couple that I want to highlight is that we had one nonprofit organization mentioning that they were working on creating a working parents affinity group. So some went to an employer resource group, a group where working parents can connect. And that's something that whether or not we're in this COVID-19 environment or not, these social groups that we provide for employees to relate, to communicate, to connect with leadership onto their environment, I think is something that no matter what will be a mainstay and initiative that we're seeing take place more at organizations at all sizes and all industries. And what they're doing is they're providing written materials and training for video conferencing and phone conferencing connections as well. So that was a really creative initiative that I'm seeing that I thought was taking place as a quick response in a positive way, in the quick recognition of need. Additionally, pointing out, one qualitative answer provided by a large conglomerate of organizations. They stated that each manager was provided a conference call number to be able to stay connected to their teams, having company-wide town hall meetings to keep as many people up to date with recent news and company decisions. I also think what's really valuable in this time is a lot of responses also stated that they're having leaders lead these social connectedness, leading these conversations, even with the response shown below, of having virtual party and welcoming all family fun environments and funny stories and much more. And that just creates this wonderful relatedness, a breath of fresh air, and great job to this member employer. Marissa, is there a resource that you would like to point out here?
Yeah, you know, I think this is where I was going to mention the Spark game as an opportunity for people to use that as a team building activity, and or one that's not linked here yet but will be before this gets in your hands is an organization called the VIA Character Strength Institute that offers a free survey. So many of us may be familiar with the Strength Finder through Gallup, but VIA Character Strength is a organization grounded in positive psychology, and they also have a free survey for assessing what's called your character strengths. And that, I thought, could be a really cool way for teams or colleagues or whatever group you want to establish, even your family maybe, to do that survey and then be able to create social connection through conversation as you meet virtually, kind of leaning into your strengths as well, to build resilience and connectedness in that way. So that'll be linked here as well, but wanted to share that as a potentially cool idea.
Great, thank you. All right, so the last question I want to focus on is the response to supporting hourly non-exempt employees and employees unable to work remote, because I think is one area that everyone is looking at is how do we support the subsector of employees that we have. So a lot of the responses that we wanted to pull out stated that there's a quick recognition of their health and safety, and how do we create this separation of employees. So going more than just saying we're going to enhance our cleaning policies, how do we craft our schedule differently and change our roles to support this? So not only were we seeing that some staff stayed home but remained on call in the event that they would be asked to go into work, but still financially supported for the hours that they're at home, but then rotating shifts during the week, whether that's leadership, but we also saw that in manufacturing, construction, and much more. I can also tell you, as a wife of a first responder, I've been a part of a lot of discussions for first responders at a statewide level that they are even having police officers work from home, in the sense that they're on call from their home, and their shifts and crew members are completely being overhauled, in the sense that they are splitting their shifts, in the sense that if someone gets infected with COVID-19, they only need to eventually quarantine half of that shift and not the full shift. So getting strategic as to who works with who, when, and then how do we lengthen that time in between their shifts to support, these employees that have to go to work? Or how can we look at this differently, where perhaps they can work from home but be on an on-call scenario? The other response that we saw was really rooted in care, compassion, support, and pay. That no matter what, as an employer, we're going to support our employees by continuing to pay them, even though they're closed, or perhaps they cannot do their duties at home, or we're going to change their role to find ways to have them be a team member still, be contributive, and we're going to support them financially for that. So reading that, right, was just employers are getting creative, and it's being flexible and responding quickly to this. This being said, what we're going to do is we are going to once again add a little bit more resources and tools to this well practice that we're creating, that we've gone through today in a very quick manner. But what and we'll send it to you by the end of the week. And we're really hopeful that if you guys have questions, you can come to us. We are here to support you. But one thing that we would like to do now is hear from a few of our WCWI members. So first up, we have Jessica, who's representing our wonderful education system with Neenah Joint School District. And Jessica, my question to you is, do you need to be unmuted or are you ready to go?
I should be good to go.
Great. All right, Jessica, can you shed some light as to, how you're supporting your employees, not only from the mental health and social connectedness side, but with your unique environment? You guys received notice on a Friday that school systems are shutting down. How did you adapt through this? What are you doing? What are you finding? And then also too, as a wellness coordinator, how is your role changing in support of your employees?
Okay, yeah, it was a very interesting time there as we were going into schools being closed. So we did go back for a Monday and Tuesday and use that time to kind of streamline our digital learning. But we have actually had that in place for quite some time. So we were able to test that out last year during some of our long days off due to weather. So in that case, that was actually a support that was already in place for our teaching staff. So that was kind of not as much of a concern or area of stress, although they weren't prepared to do that for so long. So that was one of the supports that we already had in place. And then very quickly, our communication manager was able to send out quite a lengthy, frequently asked questions page to all of our staff. So it has questions about, when will the school buildings be closed? When will digital learning start? What if I'm traveling during spring break? Because this week is technically spring break for our staff. What happens then? Of course, now that has changed a little bit. Will we be paid? Things like that. So it was really good, and it was broken down even into sections based on personal well-being questions, like what do I do if I'm feeling sick? Will our on-site health and wellness center be open? What kind of testing will they be provided? So I think just having that tool available to the frequently asked questions was really helpful. Even I know for myself, I had so many questions going into it, and that document alone answered almost all of them. So that was one way that we kind of made sure off the bat everybody knew where they were standing with everything. And we have staff, our certified staff, our teachers are obviously still working because they're digital learning all day. So they're with their students and they're asked to be kind of their working hours the same as a regular school day would be. And for our non-certified staff like myself, or our hourly staff, our educator assistants, library staff, who, they don't really have work to do if there's no students or staff, we're asked to be on call so that we're able to still receive a regular paycheck. I think it's in the system as other paid time off. So that we can go in to help if there's, coverage at our administration building. So maybe someone's still at the front desk and that front desk person is able to rotate in and out and not be there the entire time, so that they can take time at home as well. But then we have it worked out so that we're really not off, we're just working from a different location. So if we were to feel sick, we would take a sick day as we would if we were working on location. Same with vacation. People aren't traveling now, but that option is if we were to, we would take a vacation day. So it's kind of the same theory that we're just the same as we would be on location, but we're at home. And then we're doing a lot more video conferencing. We're using that within our wellness committee too. We're using Google Hangouts a little bit more to kind of chat with each other, and then doing virtual meetings, check-ins with everyone as well there. And I myself, as the wellness coordinator, is really trying to share the online resources that we have. There's so many free resources that have become available. So I'm trying to work with our mental health coordinator to kind of, he's getting some and I'm getting some, and we're trying to compile them together on a document that we can make available for our staff. But I'm also sharing them a lot on our social media and our website that we have. An example is that we have 2 great staff members who are leading online yoga classes, either on YouTube channels or on their Facebook pages or groups like that. So we're making sure to share that and encourage everyone to participate in those and share fun things that they're doing. I'm kind of seeing now that some of our schools are making private Facebook groups that they can kind of share fun pictures of what they're doing at home, or they can talk about maybe struggles with some digital learning that they're having, or some silly memes or things like that, to kind of just keep spirits up and stay connected during that time. So there's a lot of resources that we're using right now to stay connected, which is really good.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing, Jessica. Now, for everyone on the call, does anyone have any questions for Jessica specifically? Because I know Jessica has a question for you guys as well. We're just going to watch the chat here. I don't see any question quite now, but I know, Jessica, you mentioned that you are using social media. You mentioned that you're using Facebook groups, and you're utilizing the other expertise of other staff members, which is great. I love that you're adapting, and I think that's very resourceful of you and your team. Jessica had the question of, social media. Is anyone else using social media to keep your staff engaged with health and well-being activities and mentality while we're at home? Meredith stated yes. Does anyone want to share other platforms? Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I had our monthly check-in with Vitality, our wellness platform, and we were kind of doing the same thing, brainstorming how we can keep staff engaged. And she had a really good suggestion that I think I'm going to work on this week with the wellness committee. Is we're in the middle of a Vitality Points Challenge, and one of the ways that we talked about keeping staff engaged is to maybe do a selfie challenge. So on our wellness Facebook page that we have for the district, encouraging staff to take a selfie when they're taking their dog for a walk, or if they're doing one of the yoga videos online, or if they're playing a fun game with their family, something that just shows yes, we're engaged, and then being able to give extra Vitality points when they do that. So it's kind of twofold to bring people to our social media pages a little bit more, but then also bring some fun and a little look into each other's lives while we're sharing fun selfies too.
Yes, and I think that we are all kind of facing a new normal and discovering what is our new normal as an employee, what is our new normal as an employer, as a leader, and I think as we share that discovery process, I think as we make that more, as that sharing of it and the communicating of our kids are wild, we're going for a walk, it's 3 p.m., we're going to adjust to this. That's a really positive thing to do, and for many reasons why. And I think coming from leadership as well, and making it a norm, will maybe lift that stress and that perception that I need to continue my life as it was and mix in all these other new factors. And I think that would support a lot of the mental health and social connectedness as well. We have a couple individuals, if you're looking at chat, we're using the internet, created, their IT team is getting involved. Yes, Julie, way to put them to work for health and wellness with their Microsoft Stream channel, doing daily videos, even just doing daily videos if it's not physical, just a daily video from leadership saying, how are you? Get outside. It's going to be great today. It's finally feeling like spring. Shared ripple effect, fitness blog. Yes, I love this, guys. Thank you for sharing. In support of time, I want to make sure we're continuing this conversation and then open up to the group at large. If you have more questions for Jessica, you can email us or write it in the chat. We're going to continue to check this. But I want to move on to Myron Construction, and we have Merit, the wellness coordinator, who's happy to share what they're doing from a construction organization, or the construction industry, I should say, considering their unique environment that not everyone can work from home. That would be great. So how are you supporting this? And then additionally too, you know, you mentioned the rollout of new technology to support connectedness. And I would love, you know, the constant learning a little bit more about the constant communication that you mentioned, that I think is probably very vital to the unique environment that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. And I'm just praying. I have a 110-pound dog behind me, and I'm like, she's sleeping. My kids are off. That's okay. You know, they're like high school, teenage time, but my dog I'm worried about. So if you hear something, I'm really sorry. And I won't be standing swaying with my dog. No, being with a construction company, it's been quite the journey so far. And I think the thing that has brought us all together as a company, because we have, you know, we're an essential business, is the COVID-19 task force that we put together. So right away when this all happened, we had to find a way to communicate to absolutely everybody in all different states, work at home, in the office, job sites, a way to do that and keep the lines of communication open. And I don't know if anyone sat in on the Walcoa Pulse earlier this week, but the doctor was talking about calling it information therapy. And we kind of brought that to Myron, like, this is information therapy. It's a way to project caring to everybody across the board with constant communication. And at this time, you can never have enough communication at all. So we update them on everything from like a state level to a local level. We have had so much communication on the proper forms to fill out on job sites, especially. So we have constant signage, not only about like cover your cough, washing your hands, all of the COVID-19, but how many people can be on a job site, how many people can be in the office. If you come into the office, this is what you need to do. If you have these symptoms, this is what you need to do. So it really is just that constant like center base where we kind of all collaborate around. It was kind of interesting too that, you know, with these COVID-19 updates that come through, they first come through on email, kind of like a newsletter. And then we also post them to our intranet so people can backtrack. There's been so much information as it has come out, especially with the different states of, okay, in Iowa, everything's still up and running going forward. In Wisconsin now, we have the stay at home, but we're still an essential business. How do you sanitize equipment when you're in the field? PPE, what do we do with that if we have extra? How to field media that reaches out to us. So all of that information in one area. And whether you're in the field or in the office, it's great to know. A positive from that, though, is for myself and what I call my tribe, so our culture team, which involves Eric Marco, who's also our dream coach. We've had a lot of opportunity to be able to sort of puke our positivity on people, and people are like grabbing at it every which way. So I've been continuing my strategic plan for 2020. Couldn't come at a better time, because it's called Get Effing Real, and we're focusing on 4 F words in a real and relatable way. So I'm helping employees find their real. I'm focusing on themselves through food, fitness, focus, and then function. So as this comes out, and I originally promoted it, I stated straight iron employees, but together we're just focusing on those struggles in a real and relatable way together. So with that said, I've been utilizing a lot of the platforms that I have been utilizing, but I feel like there's even more and more participation, being able to help, understand and navigate the waters. I've done all of we have a weekly, I do the weekly FN tip, and right now we're focusing on food. And I try to bring my humor with it, my positivity. Eric's been doing a lot of videos. We've done all the online health coaching. So just taking that positive turn on things. Along with that, I do run the fitness center at our main office, which is down right now. So tackling online classes, online platforms, still teaching, and then leading company-wide stretches and finding different platforms to do that. So I've kind of, this couldn't happen at a better time with the whole getting real. And I've kind of embraced it and have gotten really creative. Also, just being able to learn more things virtually, reach out to people. I've done a ton of virtual coffee chat. Not gonna lie, we've done some virtual happy hour health coachings too. But just being able to embrace it and help just spread positivity throughout, looking for the positives in the situations. I've been able to pull in the kids with the work at home people for stretches. So it's been kind of interesting, and, with my kids home too, utilizing them for things as well. So it's been kind of refreshing, as you're a rookie again, and rookies want to learn. And so this way I'm learning and helping others as we go about.
That's great. Thank you. Now, everyone, if you want to use the chat function to ask Meredith any questions, great. We have them. One, Meredith, everyone wants to see your dog. And then additionally, let's see here. People are wondering what platforms you're using. And I think that's a big discovery, is people want to know, all right, we're in the technology world. What is working for everyone?
Right.
I did see in the chat here that there is discussion that Microsoft Teams is popular and people are using that. Are there any other platforms you're using?
Yeah, we're using Microsoft Teams a lot, and it's so funny. We've had it forever at Myron, but I work for a 100-year-old construction company, so now people are like, oh, we have that? What a great idea. And more and more people are chatting, so it's been kind of nice that way. We've done a ton of Zoom meetings. Same thing, people just figuring out how to use Zoom. And then just our company-wide intranet site. Our marketing department has been just absolutely wonderful with communications and developing forms and reaching out to the public with things. So our intranet site has a lot of different platforms. In fact, I have my own wellness page right on there. So what I do is I usually record classes and then upload for that that week so people can go directly onto the wellness site. And a lot with the 2020 programming too. We also utilize Banana Tag as our newsletter, which has been wonderful. It allows me to put in a lot of funny videos and things as well. So that works. And then my dog she's laying on the couch and all bundled up, but don't be surprised if she jumps in.
I love it. I'm in the same boat, Meredith. Mine's sleeping. Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing. For sake of time, considering we are over an hour and I want to get to a few open discussion questions, remind me to email you about your COVID-19 task force group and, or excuse me, committee, and who's in it, the functions, how's it working. I would love to know more. And I think a bunch of other individuals would like to know that as well. All right, so we were gonna have Eric share. Unfortunately, he had to jump on a different call. I'll make sure to interview him and include it in our follow-up. But at this point, we're gonna navigate right to a couple of open discussions. And I think we're all looking at you know, how do we support employee mental health? Another topic we have is how do we remain socially connected in a time of social distance? And then from there, you know, looking at how do we as wellness practitioners support our leaders in leading with compassion and care. You know, oftentimes we kind of are that middle percent between our entire employee population and keeping track of what is the pulse on our culture, how are our employees feeling, and how do I need to check in with our leadership on that. So let's first start with mental health and in supporting employee mental health. You know, taking a step back, we heard it in the poll, right? But the common support, the flexibility, the theme of compare and compassion, that we're all in this together, we're figuring this out. I would love to know, using your group chat, or if you want to raise your hand, unmute your phone, step right in. We're here to have a discussion, a safe discussion. And discuss this. So is there any initiatives that are working for anybody out there on this call, something that you're excited to launch, or perhaps questions that you have specific to employee mental health? Meredith, you mentioned you're using the MHA toolkits, that they're wonderful. Thank you for that validation. I know oftentimes we just want to know, does this resource work? Is it worth my time? So thank you for providing that validation. All right, so what I'm going to do is then let's move on to social connectedness then. All right. What are other ways you guys are looking at creating social connectedness with your employees? All right, Julie, can you hear me now? I know I mentioned I'm cutting out. Okay, perfect. Is there anybody using something that maybe we have not talked about or mentioned, where you're probably thinking, we're still figuring it out? Try the virtual coffee. We love that idea. I was watching the chat function, Meredith, that everyone loved that idea, so we will make sure to include that, yes. Right, we're gonna be human. I feel like the word humanizing we've been saying so long as an industry is now more in the forefront than it ever has been. All right. Well, then we're gonna continue with the flow here. We had a lot of, or organic conversation today, so I love that. So we kind of have talked about these components already, but I think what some individuals may be interested in leading with care and compassion. So either as a wellness practitioner, what are the conversations you're having with leadership, and or what is your leadership doing? You know, one person in the poll mentioned that at that time before Safer at Home was enacted by Governor Evers, they had their leadership literally walk around and just, you know, discuss with the employees at a safe distance, right? But just face to face saying, we're here, we're figuring this out, we're going to adapt, and that was one common thing. Or perhaps, you know, leadership simply supporting that we're going to be flexible. We'll figure this out. We're going to communicate with our leadership. Let's see here. Many people with organizations. So using LinkedIn, posting articles that were fabulous. Great. All right. Anybody else? Questions on leading with compassion? One thing that Marissa and I have been discussing, that we're going to continue to investigate what our members are doing throughout the state and sharing them. That's our role as your support within the employee well-being industry and as the Wellness Council of Wisconsin. So we will make sure that we continue to update you as we are working with all of our members to adapt to this, to create the initiatives, and also rolling with this ever and changing environment. Julie, thank you for mentioning constant communication from leaders, thanking the team for their agility and flexibility. Yes, the gratitude that's communicated, very important. Sending those reminders, those questions that I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, bringing that the human factor to our conversations, those human connections and check-ins. How are you doing is probably a very important question, is a very important question in this day. All right, so moving on, I just want to mention that if you are wanting to continue more resources, not only going to send you the poll results, the resources that Marissa spoke to. Additionally, we do have a page on the WCWI website under resources. It's also located a shortcuts located on our page, providing you guidance. And our focus will always be is how are employers supporting their employee well-being. We always continue that conversation of employee well-being, mental health, social connectedness, leading with compassion. So when you're looking for those resources that may be not so specific to exactly COVID-19 or the outbreaks, but that employer focus, we will be providing those to you. Additionally, I want to take a quick pulse on your interest levels. So Kind Kits, if you have been at a few of our annual conferences, you may remember our Kind Kits. If you were a member last year, you may remember Kind Kits as well as volunteer opportunities. So literally in a package kit, everything that you need to volunteer and make a difference in the world. And what Kind Kit has done is create a healthcare gratitude kit where what's included is this low, right? We have cards, crayons, stress ball, fidget spinner, granola bars, mints, food, coffee, toothbrush, paste, lip balm. It's just a wonderful, easy activity that your employees can do remote, or they can do them at the work site if you have them there, taking a moment to step back and recognize those individuals who are on the front line of COVID-19. And volunteerism, right, has a direct connection to mental health and well-being. So what we are asking you today as WCWI members is, would you, as a wellness practitioner, be interested in a statewide collaborative movement specific to launching Kind Kits at our workplaces and doing them together as a state in support of our healthcare professionals? You can say yes, no, unsure. Yes, yes, okay. I'm loving the positive energy. What we can immediately offer you right now is there's a direct link on the WCWI member dashboard where members can access a 10% discount to these kits. These kits are very budget friendly. I'm going to put that right out there. These healthcare kits are very budget friendly. As a member, you'll receive additional 10% off. And Kind Kit is in addition launching 20% off. So we do the math, 10, 20 equals 30% off. But what we're going to do as a staff is take a step back, recognizing that we're in this for a month, and can we make a greater impact as a collective as a connected community. So thank you for your insight on that. Take a look, it's ready for you out there if you want to make a move on this quick, or show your executive leadership that, hey, this may be a great initiative for us to lead as an employer. I really appreciate everyone connecting today. I appreciate our members sharing what you're doing in a time of adaptation and flexibility. These member resource groups are for that reason, for you to share, for our members to connect. We will be having another member resource group at the end of April. And this is going to be on social connectedness. So what we kind of did is are moving the social connectedness further and also be the net effect challenge as well. And I'm going to look into that as to our current environment, how we can do that, perhaps during our COVID-19 environment and where we're at that point in spring. So these are networking and member opportunities that are included in your membership, but also don't forget we have other wellness challenges that you have access to at no additional cost as a WCWI member. So in a time of adaptation, that may be something a little bit tricky to keep the health momentum going is exactly what may be helpful for you. I'm going to check our chat, but anyone, are there additional questions or specific items you would like us to follow up on? I'm going to foresee a lot of virtual coffees. All right, well, that being said, I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and that if you have any questions, please know we are here for you. We're here to support you, and otherwise, have a great day. Thank you.